My best friend of 20 years admitted she's been dating my abusive ex, the man I fought so hard to escape, and now she's insisting he's changed and wants me to forgive him. I've tried to write this out for days now, but I keep getting too upset to concentrate, so this might be a bit jumpy. I don't have family in the sense many understand family to be. So I've been pretty much a loner with one exception, my best friend Tammy. We met in middle school and just became joined at the hip. Things changed a bit in college. My parents forced me into a Christian out-of-state college. Tammy applied and got accepted to the other college in the town, so we both went out there and were roommates for 2 of the years before I met my first ever boyfriend. I will call him Trent. I moved in with him the end of junior year, and I don't know when it started happening, but he went from charming and affectionate to controlling. I don't wish to upset anyone, so I will hit the pause button and warn you that below is some of the things he did for me to label him abusive. He would put me down and hint he could find someone better, or that if he cheats, it will be my fault since I wasn't this or that enough. It started to get physical senior year. At first it was him pushing me out of the way if he was walking by and I was in the path for whatever reason, then he would slap me in arguments calling me worthless, a waste of his time and young years, a broken toy no one will love. I didn't have any real self-esteem, so I stayed, thinking I was the problem, and when I called home about it, I was told that the problem was me. I started to make my exit plan the day after I graduated. He had proposed, and I hesitated, and he screamed at me to ask why, then he swung and punched the wall right next to my head. I fell to the floor in fear, and he tried to comfort me and basically forced me into being intimate. When I woke up the next morning, the ring was on my finger, and he forced me again and later called it makeup sex, saying he forgave me for the way I treated him. That is the extremely short explanation, but there are so many stories of him forcing me into bed, laying his hands on me or threatening to unalive me, and more. So, I started to make a plan. I found a shelter in the city nearby. I started hiding things in the trunk of my car. I was in the service industry then, and so I would take more shifts whenever I could and hide my cash tips in a box of tampons in my purse. And I finally was ready and left him, left my phone. I had a new cheap one, and never went back. Tammy knew him and lived near us, but she didn't know about my plan. She messaged me on social media and I told her what happened. All of what happened. So she played dumb when he came around asking where I was, spinning the story that I was suicidal and he is calling the police to find me. He never found me. That was years ago. I am now 36 and Tammy is too. Trent is 38. Tammy became a bit religious, but I told her as long as she is happy and safe, I don't care what she leans on in faith. She started to invite me out to her church 4 years ago, and I kept saying no until I very firmly said if she brought it up again, I would just walk out or hang up. I'm not against anyone believing what they want, I just don't want or need to be sucked into it. I honestly do not mean any offense to anyone of any faith. I myself am just agnostic, and if that ever will change, I will decide on my own, but I doubt it will. She got a job 2 years ago overseas. I acted excited for her but I was also deeply devastated. Without her, I had no one else. By this time, I wasn't in contact much with family, and I do have surface-level friends, but no one that's known me in the real sense. I worked it out with my counselor and just carried on. We stayed in touch online and video chatted a lot. She would show me London and I would show her my transition to moving to Texas. We would chronicle our explorations of our new cities, and then one day it started to slow down on her end right around the time she went to visit a friend in our old college town. She then asked if she flew to Texas sometime this summer, could she stay with me a few days, and I excitedly agreed. So early this month, just a few weeks ago, she came here. She was off the whole first day, but I figured she was tired. Then the next day, we went out and got drunk. She started to cry and I got us an Uber back to my place and asked her what was wrong. That's when she asked me not to hate her and told me everything. She's with Trent. She's been with him almost a year. I was too stunned to even say anything, and she went on and on about how it's not what I think and he has changed. She told me he found Jesus and turned his life around and deeply regrets the way he treated me. The more she talked, the more I just shut off. I didn't even have it in me to feel anger. I just stared at her frozen as she talked until she said, please just say something. So I did. I told her to get the FCK out. She started to explain it all again. She hated him forever, but they kept running into each other. He goes to church and showed he has changed blah blah blah. I didn't interrupt her, but when she stopped talking again, I just repeated myself. She argued more, and I would just listen and repeat until she grabbed her stuff and left. It was silent between us for a week until my dad texted me that Tammy called my parents crying and told me to get over myself. After all, it's not like I wanted to get back with him, right? And that's what I get for living with a man I wasn't married to. Then she texted the next week rehashing her argument and pretty much demanding I video chat with him to see for myself that he's changed and forgive him. She then blamed me that they can't take the next steps in their relationship because I don't have a forgiving heart and that I was malicious when I kicked her out. I've spent all of this week trying to figure out if I am insane to think this is a huge betrayal. A deal breaker. I mean, who even dates their friend's ex, for one, but this? I blocked her after she hinted that my version of things was exaggerated and malicious, but I don't have other friends to turn to about this. I don't think I am, but and her family thinks I am the jerk, at least for kicking her out in a strange city alone when she was just being honest with me. Am I? Update 2 months later, posted 2 hours ago. Sorry to everyone who reached out and I haven't responded. I honestly haven't been using the app as I had to change phones swiftly at one point and forgot the password when trying to log on my new device. It took Trent 2 weeks. I had a full-time job but also a part-time service industry job as a bartender. He showed up at the bar. It's a small bar and one of the regulars, Daisy, is one of the folks I did confide in about Trent and Tammy. When Trent walked in, I happened to be chatting with Daisy and she saw my reaction. She asked what was wrong and I told her that it was Trent. She wasted no time and went to get my manager. Trent sat at the end of the bar and I took my time checking in on my other bar guests until my manager Heather came out with the other 2 bartenders. Trent had already begun knocking on the bar asking for service loudly and I had been ignoring him. He got kicked out quickly and told that we can and do refuse service to him. I got text from a new number saying it was Tammy and begging for me to answer. She called 4 times and I didn't answer. She left voicemails with Trent and one without all telling me that I was concerning them with my hatefulness, how I am alone in the world and that's not safe, who would I turn to if someone broke into my home at night. Things of that nature and religious crap sprinkled in. I was still on the clock and Daisy suggested I stay at her parents'. I know her mom who sometimes comes with her to the bar. At that point I was shaken enough to take them up on it. Daisy's mom, Rose, has been sweet enough to let me stay rent-free for as long as I needed but I eventually moved in with one of the servers at the bar. She helped me look for legal representation and I filed for a restraining order using screenshots I had emailed myself prior, old voicemails, and though we could not prove harassment on Tammy's end, Trent had said enough in the voicemails and messages he had sent that it qualified for a temporary restraining order. I am safe for now and the hearing is in January. No one knows where I live currently and I've shut down all social media. I've been no contact with my family as they've been pushing me to give my address so they can send Christmas gifts, but when I gave them a P.O. box Daisy is allowing me to use, they got angry it wasn't an address, and that was suspicious enough for me not to trust them. It's strange but I am slowly making friendships. And seeing a counselor helps with the stress. Trent is pretty much blacklisted from the square of bars where my bar is. Word gets around. I've not walked alone a single shift since. And that's my update. Not perfect, but I remembered my password when I was checking my email for any additional stuff to send to my lawyer, and wanted to let every person concerned about me know that I am okay. When this is resolved I will try to update with more detail.